What's up, people? Nature Girl 30 here, and this is another mini Q&A. Guys, thank you so much for supporting me and staying by me, and good grief, there's like dust flying everywhere. My apologies for that. But anyway, I do have questions on Twitter as well as on YouTube, so let's get started with the questions that are on Twitter. My first set of questions comes from Dustin Nunn, and your question for me is, have you played Tekken? Have you ever played Tekken? Yes, I played Tekken, but it was years ago. The first time I played Tekken was on the PS1. It was pretty much the first fighting game I have ever played on that time. That was a next-gen console. Because, well, honestly, I've always been, at the time, I had like a lot of Nintendo stuff, and then I had Sega Genesis. I went from NES to NES to Sega Genesis to N64. My N64 was my sister's, and then I ended up getting a PS1. And the first fighting game I played on PS1 was Tekken, while the next one was Dynasty Warriors. That was the second one that I played, but I guess at the time it really was a one-on-one fighting game. But yeah, it was fun. It was great. I never knew how to juggle or do pull-off combos. It was enough to be able to beat the game. But yeah, it was a really fun game. I haven't played any Tekken games since then, but I will say it was a lot of fun and I did enjoy myself playing. But great set of questions, man. My next set of questions actually comes from Real Harold. My apologies for my voice. I have terrible allergies this time of year. But my next set of questions comes from Real Harold. Does Nature Girl 30 thinks it's time for Daniel Bryan to retire due to his injuries? Honestly, he might not have a choice. It seems like there's a chance that Daniel Bryan might retire because his injury this time is pretty bad. It doesn't look like he'll be back for a while, and the fact that he actually had to miss a pay-per-view shows it is getting pretty bad. But if that's the case, he left a really great legacy for such a short run. Daniel Bryan was a really great character. He wasn't so great as a heel. He was pretty much abusive, but Daniel Bryan was a great face character. He was a great baby face. I hope that he doesn't have to retire due to injuries, but most wrestlers have to do that, and if he does, he left a really great legacy, and I think that it might be time. But I'm hoping that maybe he won't have to so early, but if he has to, then yeah. So to answer your question, as much as I don't want him to retire, it would make sense if he does. It's no point in killing yourself for your job, even if you do love it. I really think it'll be best for him to retire, at least to heal, or at least have a schedule or arrange a contract to where he'll have only a limited amount of appearances so he'll be able to heal. But yeah. Your next question for me is, what if Edge didn't retire in 2011 due to injuries? Would Edge have wound up in a wheelchair? He probably would have. Edge had a really bad neck injury, and that's what Daniel Bryan's going through now. He might have been paralyzed from the waist down. That's what Stone Cold had to go through when he was actually feuding with Owen Hart. When Owen Hart did that tombstone power driver on him, it went straight on his neck, and he couldn't feel anything from the waist down. It's not worth losing your life, let alone your entire your movement of your body over. So if he has to retire in order to even walk around, because he's trying to have a baby with Brie, he's trying to create a family with Brie Bella. So honestly, for him to be able to enjoy his kids without being in a wheelchair on crutches for the rest of his life, then yeah, he should retire. But as for Edge, yeah, Edge would have been in a wheelchair. So I'm kind of happy that he did retire. It was high time that he did, and I'm glad that he did. It was sad, but at least I had a chance to witness it, his last match at WrestleMania 27. But those are my questions on Twitter. Guys, thank you so much for sending me those questions, and now I am going to questions on YouTube. My first set of questions comes from John Cunt. What are your thoughts on Bruce Jenner transforming into a woman? Do you think he needs help and he is mentally ill for making his decision? Honestly, no. I mean, there's a lot of people that go through transgender surgeries all the time. I'm not going to say that he has mental problems, but this is a huge decision on his part. I didn't really see the interview, and I know that's your next question for me. Did I watch it? No, I didn't. Honestly, I'm kind of Kardashian out. There was a time that I actually did watch the Kardashians, but then it was just to the point where I'm like done. So ever since then, I really didn't care much for them. And no, as for Bruce Jenner's interview, I did not watch it at all. But if that's his personal choice, that's his personal choice. It's an extreme, but that's his personal choice. He chooses to become a woman. If your dad wanted to become a woman, would you support him or would you try to get him help? I don't know what I would do in that situation. I really wouldn't. I'm not going to say that my dad would be mentally ill for trying to become a woman. I would be more confused on why and why so long. Like, if you felt this way for a long time, then why did you wait all these years? And it would be devastating. I'm not going to lie. It would probably be really, really shocking for myself personally. I'm speaking for myself. It'd be really shocking to find out if he did, but my dad's a grown man. If that's his choice, that's his choice. There's really nothing I can do about it. It's not going to change the fact that I love him. I mean, he's always going to be my dad, whether or not he turns to a woman or not. And I'm going to always love my dad. But if he ever made a decision to do that, then, that's him. I mean, he's a grown man. That's all I can do. I can't stop him. That would be his choice. Do you think transgender people are individuals with mental issues? No. They're people. They're people like anyone else. The only difference is that they make these personal choices for themselves. Do I think that they have mental issues? Not really. I mean, it's an extreme. Don't get me wrong. Transforming yourself from one gender that you were born with to another is extreme on the body itself. Because your body literally has to transform into a woman, or people get surgery to do it, and it's drastic. So do I think it's to an extreme? The process that is, yes. Do I think that people are mentally disturbed? No, I don't. I don't at all. But good question, man. Good question. My next set of questions comes from I love watermelons 525. Why do you always why are you always late on these Q&As? Yeah, okay. I will admit I have been really late with these, but honestly, when your work schedule picks up and you get really busy and you get really tired, it's really, really hard to try to fit these things in. I try to fit them in as much as I can. I know I have been behind, and I know I used to have them coming out on Wednesdays, but now these are pretty much going to be coming out on random times. I will try to at least have one out once a week. I will try. That's all I can say. There's no guarantee, but I will try. But I really do appreciate you guys still sticking with me. And I really do appreciate you guys still sending me questions, even though these Q&As have been late. So my apologies for it not coming out on Wednesdays. But when your work schedule picks up and then you just kind of get tired and it's kind of hard to fit them in, you do the best you can. But I thank you guys for still sticking with me. And I still thank you guys for still sending me questions after all these crazy moments. But, crazy scheduling, that is. But thanks so much for sticking with me. Do you watch Lucha Underground every week? Mr. Griffin really got me into it. Like, Irvin really got me into watching Lucha Underground. He practically calls me and I call him just to watch the show because it's that good. As soon as I found out I had the El Rey Network on my satellite, I have been watching it as much as I can. And it actually is a really good show. It really is. And so far, I did watch last week's Lucha Underground, and it was heartbreaking, but it was okay. It wasn't a bad show. The show before last, 100% grade A material. That's just me personally. If you're a wrestling fan and you like the matches as not so much the storyline, if you like things that are not as storyline driven as WWE, but has really great and well executed performances and just well done all around, definitely watch Lucha Underground, because honestly it's for the wrestling fan in you, seriously, because they have pretty much death defying moves. They have the luchadors, it's themselves are just have perfectly, well, not perfectly, but wonderfully executed everything. It's executed performances. It's so well done. It's so smooth, and just, you gotta watch it for yourself, seriously. But I've talked too much about that. Why didn't you order Destination America to watch TNA? Because I don't have Destination America on satellite. I have Dish, so Dish don't have it. So unfortunately, I can't order it if Dish doesn't really have the contract to have it. I have Discovery Channel networks, but I do not in any way, shape, or form have Destination America. I don't know why, but Dish doesn't carry it, so there's really nothing I can do about that. What if Maria Menounos became your roommate? She wouldn't be. Let's put it this way. Y'all know how I feel about Maria Menounos, and she would never be my roommate. Besides, she would never live in anything that's better than a high rise. And I don't have that, so she would not be here. And I wouldn't mind that at all. My next set of questions comes from Final Limits. Did you see the 2-hour interview on? And no, I didn't see an interview on Bruce Jenner. I just really didn't care much for it. And I think you're pretty much saying the same exact thing that John Cunt said. Honestly, if anyone in my family, like I said before, if anyone in my family decides to change their gender, there's really nothing I can do. They're grown. They make their own decisions on their own. But they're my relatives. It'll be a huge change, and it'll feel a little different, but they're my family. You know, that's how it is. And I will not stop loving them for that decision. It'll be a big extreme, but I won't stop loving them for that decision. What games are you planning on getting in 2015? Honestly, I'm still thinking about getting Mortal Kombat X. I'm not hearing a lot of good things about it. Besides how the graphic looks, and the graphic looks great and everything, but the biggest problem is online, and that's really been an issue. Plus all this pay to order stuff, and the DLCs is really starting to annoy people. But it's mostly the online stuff that they need to work on, but that can be worked on with a patch. So whatever, you know, it's not really that big of a deal. But I'm still thinking about getting that game. As for an Xbox One, I'm going to hold off on it. There's something I really want to save my money up for, and an Xbox One can wait. So, you know, that's just how it is with me. But I'm still planning on getting that game in 2015. But more than likely, towards the end of this year, they're going to probably stop making Xbox 360 games. So if I really wanted to get an Xbox One, I would, because I have an Xbox account. So I might as well. But right now, I have all the time in the world to get one. So whatever. You know, it doesn't really matter. Your thoughts on point and click games? I have not played. Well, I don't think I've ever played a point and click game in a very long time since Tex Murphy. I think Tex Murphy is the only point and click game I played. It's fun. It is. It depends on whether or not you like that particular genre or that series. I'm a huge fan of the Tex Murphy series. I've always been since the 90s, and I still am. I actually had Tesla Effect, Overseer, and Under a Killing Moon, and even the Pandora, the Pandora Directive on my computer. By far, those games are fun. I'm not gonna lie. I still have issues with Overseer that I got on Steam that for some reason still doesn't work. But it always had problems. Even when it came out on disc many years ago. The only way it will work is if you actually had the official game. And that's the only way it would actually work. Unfortunately, I am missing a whole bunch of the discs, so I can't really play the game as it was as a whole. But if you actually get it on Steam, it's still not going to work. So don't bother wasting your money with it. Even if you actually do get the updates, it still doesn't work. You know, you either don't get sound or don't get audio. Or, I mean, you don't either get sound or don't get video. And right now, the problem is getting video. So, if you want to try Tex Murphy Overseer, do not get it. But if you're able to actually get it in disc form, get it in disc form. Everything else is straight. And I'm just saying it for those that actually do want to try the Tex Murphy series, and by far, you will not be disappointed. But the latest one that you can actually try is the Tesla Effect, which happens to be the aftermath of what happened at the end of Overseer for those that really want to play it. It is a great game. Seriously, by far one of my favorites. But I've talked too much about that. What if WWE or TNA or any wrestling federation decided to hire a transgender wrestler? Would that work? Honestly, I don't know. I mean, they've had really crazy gimmicks before. I really wouldn't be surprised if it actually does work. Shoot, they had Bill and Chuck, for crying out loud. Bill and Chuck, or is it Bill and Chuck? Or I don't know. Yeah, Bill and Chuck. Yeah, they actually did have two straight guys playing gay. So if that's the case of them doing that, then yeah, they can pull off a transgender. They've had crazy gimmicks before. I wouldn't be surprised if they could actually pull it off with a real transgender man or woman. They could actually pull it off. That's just me. Well, not my final yet. My next set of questions come from Nintendo Fanboy 1988. Why is it okay for them to have a spinoff of Boy Meets World, but it isn't okay to have Full House? The reason why is because they waited far too long. Now, Full House came out close to 30 years ago, and they waited far too long to have a spinoff. For Boy Meets World came out in the 90s, and it ended in the 2000s. So it's still fairly fresh for them to actually start a spinoff, let alone it started off with kids that start off at elementary school, to middle school, to high school, to college, and then you had the two main characters get married at the end to go on to make their own family. But it was around that time frame. It was done in the 90s, and yeah, it was about close to a 20-year gap, but either or, it still is fresh. It ended in the 2000s. So even though they waited 15 years, either or, it can still work. This is a 30-year-old show that literally, I can't even remember how it ended. I don't think I even saw the finale. All I know is that it was a show about a man who was widowed, who had his brother and his brother's friend come in to live with them to take care of his kids. And it was pretty much all about Danny Tanner. And then you had the twins. You had, well, they weren't twins on the show. You had Michelle, who was played by Mary-Kate and Ashley Olsen, who are not going to even be on the show. Let alone John Stamos isn't even going to show his face on it. And he was Uncle Jesse. And Uncle Jesse was the guy that was known for the great hair. Then he ended up having twins, and then they're not sure that his wife is going to come back. There's a lot of people that aren't going to be in the show. So far, it's going to be, Candace Cameron, and then it's going to be Kimmy Gibbler, and then you have the little sister. So I mean, either or. I mean, you have Stephanie there. But then you're going to have those three, but then you're not going to have the twins. And the show was known about the twins. It was known for Mary-Kate and Ashley. Seriously. But the fact is that Mary-Kate was a little girl. She was a little, I think it was Mary-Kate who played Michelle, and then they switched off with Ashley. But they weren't twins for the Italian twin that came on the show. So I don't know how they're going to work that out. Seriously. And not to mention that Mary-Kate and Ashley Olsen are freaking billionaires, so they don't have to do it. So that's the biggest problem with the Full House reunion or the Full House reboot or whatever they're doing. They can't necessarily do it here because there's a lot of characters that are not going to even be in the show that were well known for what they did. So if everybody was able to come back and they were able to have a brief reunion, fine. But you got a lot of people that are not coming back. Dave Coulier might not come back. John Stamos is not coming back. He's going to be directing the show, be behind the scenes. And then you got Bob Saget, the main guy that was on the show. Bob Saget's not coming. So why have one? Seriously, why have one? It's just going to be about DJ trying to make it through life. And they're trying to do the exact same plot, the exact same formula that they did with Full House. And honestly, they need to change it up. Instead of killing her husband off, have her husband there, but then just try to make it from there with Stephanie and with Kimmy, and make it work that way. And try to get rid of the uncles and try to get rid of the twins because they're not coming back. So if they try to change the dynamic and make it fresh and new, it might work. But you got some people that are coming back. If they want to stick to that same formula, it's not going to work. That's just me personally. That's why I don't feel it's going to work. With Girl Meets World, you got majority of the people that were on the show 20 years ago, 15 years ago, that actually came back. And they end up making that formula work. You can't do that with a 30-year-old show. Because in the 80s, things were different back then. Way different than the 90s. So that's why it's not going to work. If they stick to that same formula. But I've talked far too much about that. Moving on from there. Do you think Riley Matthews from Girl Meets World looks like the love child AJ Lee and Luke Harper? Kinda. Well, no, strangely enough, she looks just like Ben Savage. Like, she looks like the split image of Ben Savage. They did a really great job casting because she looks like his daughter. Seriously. But as for wrestling wise, I guess you can probably say there's somewhat of a resemblance between her and Luke Harper and AJ Lee. Maybe a little bit. Who is your favorite character in The Walking Dead? I like the black chick with dreads who carries a samurai sword. Michonne and Abraham, the Sheamus look-alike. Abraham does look like Sheamus. I'm not gonna lie. He definitely looks like Sheamus. But he is more, I don't know. He's more carnal than the rest. But as for Michonne, Michonne's alright. You know, she's cool and everything. I liked Sasha at one time until Sasha started losing it. And I guess you can relate when your boyfriend gets mauled by a zombie and then gets his leg cut off and cannibalized right in front of him. But she didn't know all that. But the fact that your boyfriend would die would make you a little nuts. But Tyrone, Big Ty, was my favorite character. Big Ty and Beth, by far, were my favorite characters. When they got killed off, spoiler alert, when they got killed off, I was so done with the show. I could not continue. Because if you have a ray of hope, any character on that show that gives you hope will die within a matter of weeks. And I couldn't take it when Ty died. I cried. I literally was just pouring tears. I even called Irvin and everyone was like, what, who died? I'm like, Ty did. But he thought I was kind of crazy because I called him up when I was like just freaking out, like crying over the show. But after Ty died, I was done. Beth was hard enough to deal with. Like, seriously, after you saw, there was so many things that could have happened that kept her alive on the show. And she ended up just getting killed the way she did. I'm like, dang it. All for that little dude that betrayed you. I hope he got killed off the show now. Like, I haven't seen it in weeks. But I'm really hoping that kid, I can't remember his name, the only black child on the show. And don't even say, oh, that's racist. No, dude. That dude was shady. He got Ty killed and he got Beth killed. I'm hoping that he's gone. And it's just character-wise. I'm hoping his character dipped out. Because he's by far the most sinister and the weakest. So I really wanted him gone. So for those that know that he's gone, you're not going to spoil it for me. It's just going to make me happy. He's my Prince Joffrey of that show. And after seeing Prince Joffrey die, which was very satisfying, I would like his character to die off. Seriously. But anyway, I'm moving on from there. I'm talking way too long about this. But anyway, thoughts on Michelle Rodriguez saying that, oh gosh, saying that white superheroes should be made black. Okay. And I know you're talking about making Annie black, but when it comes to black superheroes, the white superheroes made black, the only one, and I've actually taught Irvin about this, and I taught Irvin a lot because Irvin is like literally a comic book nerd. So, and that's my homeboy right there. But we talked about this, and we actually did agree. The only character so far that has made it work, and I guess not really so much superhero wise, but also super villain as well, And I'm talking about for Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, for Baxter Stockman, they actually made Baxter Stockman black. That worked. And then also Nick Fury. When they made Nick Fury black, that worked too. There's only sometimes that in some comic books that making a character black will work. Nick Fury by far is one of them, and he's like the prime example. It worked. Spider-Man, on the other hand, I don't know. But with the multi-universe, you could probably pull that off too. But if it actually maintains relevancy, or if it's a complete reboot, that's fine. But if you try to take a character that's already been cemented and iconic, and just for ethnicity's sake or cultural sake, try to change the color of that individual to appease other people, then no, I don't think it should be done. I think it should stay the way it is, unless you can find a different plot to make that person black or white or whatever, or whatever culture there is. It has to have some relevancy to it. You just can't randomly turn a character black or white or Asian or Chinese if there's no relevancy to it. And it's not even trying to sound racist for those who are itching to throw the race card. It's not racist at all. Just like, for example, like with Spider-Man, it's multi-universes. You can do whatever you want with multi-universes. But if you have a character, like a main iconic character that has been cemented, for example, the Fantastic Four. Yeah, I said it. The Fantastic Four should not be rechanged with different characters or different people. It makes no sense to have the Human Torch to be black. I'm sorry, it don't. But they're saying it's a complete reboot. But honestly, we've known the Fantastic Four to be a family for years. We know the Fantastic Four for the Human Torch should be the brother of the Invisible Girl, which made sense. But now you got a black Human Torch and you still got a white Invisible Girl, and they're all younger than they are. Makes no sense. So yeah, it has to make sense. It has to fit. It has to give it some kind of relevancy. If not, then it's pointless. But that's just me personally. And hey, they make the big bucks, they make the decisions, they choose to do this, and I still think it's dumb. Period. And I'm with her. They shouldn't, in a certain extent. Maybe she has a whole different meaning behind it, but from what I'm saying, I don't think that an iconic character should be changed a different color without any relevancy to why that character is a different color, if that person was the same color to begin with. I hope that makes sense. But great questions, man. And my final set of questions actually comes from, again, Dustin Nunn. Your actual question for me is, who is your favorite wrestler in today's WWE? Ooh. I have a few. Of course, I like Daniel Bryan because Daniel Bryan has a lot of heart. And I think that's why everybody actually do like Daniel Bryan for that reason. I love Bad News Barrett. Bad News Barrett is pretty much the British version of Ric Flair to me, except without the high flying, high profiling kind of thing. He has a lot of class to him. That's why I like him and William Regal. He is a very classy villain, and I love classy villains. I love villains that just have I don't know, like they have good taste. I don't know how to say it, but he's a very classy villain that really thinks himself in high regard. That's the perfect villain for me. Seriously, that's an excellent villain. But as for a face, well, actually, I can't really say a face, but I will say that for the odd villains, for the oddities out there, by far, I would have to say Stardust. This is actually a gimmick that works really well for Cody Rhodes. He surpassed his brother when it came to the oddity gimmick, and it's working so well for him. I love the character of Stardust. His Twitter account alone is out there, but by far, Stardust is awesome. He's one of the awesome oddities of the WWE. So those are my favorite wrestlers. This is my mini Q&A. Guys, thank you so much for sending me questions. And if you have any more questions for me, by all means, send them to me via YouTube or on Twitter at RKA30 #NatureGirlQ&A. I will do my best to get these out at least once a week. I will do my best. But thank you guys so much for sticking around with me. And thank you so much for still sending me questions. This is Nature Girl 30 signing off. Peace out, guys. Later.